Hello and happy Metta Monday. I have Molly again. She's feeling a million times better, so I guess she's not really in the camera and she's hiding under her bed. But yeah, I'm just going to continue to do these Monday morning videos as much as and as long as I think they're of service. And I looked back and did a reading last Wednesday night on my book, from my book, Faith Underwater, and I just read through excerpts from the suffering chapters. So there's a chapter on why we suffer, sort of the philosophy, and also the science of suffering, including the polyvagal theory and other sort of background on the technical aspects of how suffering manifests in our emotional and nervous systems. And then there's a chapter on being with suffering with skill, and the final chapter in this first part of my book is on moving through suffering. And from the being with suffering skillfully, and it kind of bridges into moving through it, I talked last week about the SNAP acronym, and SNAP stands for stop and turn towards your discomfort, which I named last week as being really challenging, and then name it. So really get present with it enough to understand what it is and that it is not all that you are, and then ask what it needs and provide it. So stop, name, ask, provide is SNAP. And SNAP is part of sort of my own Russian nesting doll framework of another mnemonic or another memorable little rhyme that I've used to move through and be with suffering with more skill. And these things are simple because when we are suffering, we are not in that highest mind, that prefrontal cortex I talk about. So we need the simplicity that the parts of us that are more activated in sympathetic activation and anxiety, or dorsal vagal, which I talk about, parasympathetic activation, which is more of a shutdown or depression-like state. We need these things to be simple in order to remember when we're in these lower states where we just don't have access to our most advanced part of our brain and thinking. So SNAP is great because if you can remember those 4 simple words of stop, name, ask, and provide, it gives you a chance to get out of a trigger or a difficult emotion. Similarly, SNAP is part of the first of these 4 words. The rhyme is sit, walk, write, and talk. Sit, walk, write, talk. And I really like that hierarchy and that order of sort of operations to do. And I'll talk through each of them and why. So sitting with your discomfort. So SNAP is an acronym for how to do that. The most important thing that you can do is slow down and make space for whatever you are feeling, and maybe cultivating compassion. And a body sense of compassion is just making space. So getting bigger and holding almost like this body sense of a container, and you can fill that container with loving kindness and make more room to dilute your discomfort. And so there's a whole lot more I could say about that, but I'll move on to walk. So sit, walk, write, talk. Walking is really great for if sitting doesn't work, if you're not able to move through whatever you're experiencing or get unstuck, walking is a great way to begin to, or to continue to integrate what you're stuck with. So walking stimulates the 2 hemispheres of the body, the 2 hemispheres of the brain. And there's science that backs this up with respect to a type of therapy called EMDR, which utilizes bilateral stimulation of the brain, eye movement desensitization, I think repetition. I don't remember the R. I'll put it in the comments. But what EMDR does is it stimulates both sides of the brain. And a therapist friend, we were taking a walk, and she made a comment that walking is sort of like your own self-therapy. So what this does is the more that you expose yourself to the same stimulus, the same difficult emotion, as you stimulate both hemispheres of the body and the brain, each time you repeat the step, 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 you're getting more distance, ever so slightly more distance from a difficult emotion. So it may help you integrate what you're experiencing just by taking a walk with the intention of being with your discomfort. So it's not like taking a walk and listening to music and talking to somebody on the phone and being distracted. It's taking a walk with the intention to be with and integrate your discomfort. So if you've sat and you've walked and you're still feeling stuck, another really important thing that you can do is write. Sit, walk, write. And writing is a really powerful way to get out of your head because you're using the body physically to write out what is going on in your mind. And what I like to say, and I've read it somewhere, that writing takes thoughts that are going in a spiral and it puts them in a straight line. So sometimes writing is all you need, is to literally just give voice and give words to whatever your discomfort is. That may be enough. And if you've tried all of those things, then the final piece is talk. And that, what I mean by that is reach out. Sometimes we need to talk things out to process them, and calling a trusted friend who you know will be supportive and non-judgmental, or reaching out to a therapist. We need this piece of it. So this sit, walk, write, talk kind of takes us from self-regulation into co-regulation, because as I've said, we need both. We need to be able to, hold space for ourselves, and we need to be able to reach out to others and receive their support. So sometimes whatever has gotten us activated can only be supported in a relational space. Sometimes whatever comes up really is best taken care of within our own system. And that's as highly individual as whatever is coming up within you. And there are, infinite parts within each of us. So who knows what the heck is coming up? We're in a pretty crazy petri dish. This quarantine is kind of like a global science experiment of like, how are humans going to react? And it wasn't designed that way. I don't think there was any design. But what is happening now, if you can step back and study yourself in all of this and make space for the anxiety, the grief, the stress, all of the things that are just, bound to come up right now, and take a step back in order to resource yourself around it, and with compassion, study what's coming up. One way to transform a challenging experience is to look for the lessons in it. And that doesn't take away the discomfort or the suffering or the unpleasantness or the unjustness of any of it. It just helps, make meaning out of what feels, hard to understand or explain. We can always seek the lesson in just our own relationship to what's going on. And so that's my offering today. So sit, walk, write, and talk. Give it a try. And let me know how it works. And I hope you have a beautiful and skillful day and week. Thank you.